level skill. Some access centers are fantastic, and it's entirely up to you. Some people choose to go the completely self-funded route. That's completely okay too. And that's entirely based on how much you're able to put in. You can start with something as small as a simple consumer camcorder. You can go to something, I probably, for most early purposes, wouldn't go over anything considered prosumer equipment. Prosumer being a word that means good enough for professionals who want to save some money, but easy enough that a consumer with more money than your average bear will want to put some money into it. For most productions, you're going to want to have that split and not get anything higher up than a piece of prosumer equipment. Another consideration to make is, are you going to do a live program or a time-related program? Meaning, are you going to put it out over the web as it's happening and have live discussion? Are you going to record it and edit it, or maybe even not edit, just take it as a chunk and play it as is? That decision can affect the equipment that you have. If you're doing it live and it's going to be on the internet, you're going to want to have some ability to plug it into the computer. And you're going to need to pick a service that's accessible to folks that will allow you to be able to put it out live. There's lots of video services that do live streaming options for video as well as audio. And there's lots of options if you're not interested in doing just internet that'll allow you to send those things into a locality live as they're happening. Live is neat because there's that realism to it. What's happening now is what people are watching now. And people are able to interact with you, usually via the web, either through voice or video or text. You don't have that sort of feedback during a pre-recorded program, but a pre-recorded program gets more polish. You can spend as much time as you want and need making it look the way you want before it goes on the air. If there's a problem with a live program, you've got to roll with it. And you've got to feel comfortable enough with that content and with what you're doing that if something goes wrong, you can pull it back together. I know that when Geeks with Issues was still running as a program, we would do an annual 24-hour charity event where we would play Oregon Trail for 24 hours nonstop. So it was a live show nonstop with people there the whole time. And we would go over the web, we would go over local channels, and there was a lot of stuff to go wrong. And goodness did it. And being able to laugh at ourselves, not take ourselves seriously, and say, we're live, I hope everybody's having fun, made that live process a much more acceptable thing. If you're uncomfortable about having an imperfect product of any kind, you really want your polish on something, a live program is often hard to do because you don't get the opportunity to make it look the way you want it to. It's going to be the way it is, however it comes out. Alternately, you don't get that live interaction of a live show. Someone says something that someone out in the world disagrees with, immediately you get a hit back, I don't agree with you. And you're having a conversation with someone in real time. You lose that when you have a pre-produced program because you put all the polish into it, but what you shot is hours, days, weeks in the past, and is now too far away from what's going on now for people to have an immediate interaction. Which is not to say through social media you can't interact about a show. You can put a show up and there can be comments and communication about that program. That still exists. But that live, on-the-fly interaction gets lost. So you've got your people, you've got your equipment. The next thing you need to have is confidence. You've got to believe that you can make this happen. A lot of people don't think they can do something like this because they see other people doing it and they go, I don't know how he walks up to people and talks to people. In my private life, I'm a very quiet person. When I go to parties, I don't very easily walk up to people. I have occasionally a vicious streak of shy. But I know darn well that I am capable of doing interviews. I know darn well in order for this thing that I love to work, I need to get up there and I need to do it. So, I put my cojones in a bag, I carry them on my shoulder and make it happen. And just being there and doing it, whether you're the person behind the camera and you don't feel like you've got the experience to do it, or you're getting up there and talking to people you don't know. And because that's a lot of convention stuff and on-location stuff, unless you're talking about a niche where you're talking with people that you know very well, you're going to be talking with folks you don't know. So you've got to be ready to, on the fly, hop up and talk with people and do things that you're not used to and that you're not ready for. And have the confidence to know that as long as you're doing as good a job as you can, no one is going to pick up on the fact that you're doing it wrong. Because as long as you're doing it right for you, you're doing it right. The rules of what is right and what is wrong get defined by the type of show you create. If you create a show where you get to screw up and mess around a little bit, it's cool. And the folks that you get up and talk to, and the guys who've been helping me today work on Berkshire Geek can attest to you. There have been several times I've gotten up in front of someone, I've gotten ready to interview them, I've started introing the interview, and I've messed it up. I'm introducing the person, I've said their name wrong. And I'm standing there like a fool, realizing I've said their name wrong, or my tongue has slipped. They don't notice, they chuckle, and you move on. You have the confidence to go, I can do this, I'm going to make this work, it's going to be an awesome program, it's going to be something I'm going to be proud of, and then go do it. And that's the big piece there. Once you got the confidence, you go and you do it. You can't say, I'd like to get this done and covered, but reason. You find a way to make it work. And sometimes it feels like there are blockages in the way. I know that you've got to scale the program that you make to your life and what you can put together with it. One of the reasons that Geeks with Issues didn't work is because it required a cast and crew of over 20 people once a month. That is a lot of finagling, and with a group of folks who are, for the most part, just getting into parenthood, just getting into sort of that early adult stage of our lives, none of us were prepared to continue putting the amount of time we've been putting in for years to do the show right. So we put the show down. You don't ever want to have to get to the spot where you have a show that you think is successful in every way and then say, I gotta walk away. But as you're going, you've got to know what your limitations are and you got to scale them. And you've got to make sure that your show never overtakes you, unless it becomes a financially viable thing that's paying the bills. If it's your only focus, putting 100% into it, makes perfect sense. If it's something you do for the love of doing it, you've got to know when to step back a little bit and let the beast sleep and stop carrying you around like a rag doll. Sometimes the show will do that. When the show becomes bigger than the people who created it, it can sometimes be wearying. And you've got to know when to put that extra oomph in and say, you know what, I've got to do this for the show. And you've got to know when to say, show, I love you, I know that people need me, but right now I've got to take a breath. And the thing is, the fans understand that we're human. You say, hey everybody, we got to go on hiatus for a little while because life happened. I mean, they'll be frustrated because they want more show because you're doing it right, but they'll wait for you. As long as you keep in touch with them, keep the lines open, and keep that successful communication going, you won't lose that connection. And then the sort of final step is keep improving. Keep coming up with ways to make it interesting, make it better. If you're doing the same show that you've been doing